doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
You
I'm
look
excited to be
great.
here.
You
Yeah,
look
you look great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just so that we make it really, really clear, Holly and I have a love-hate relationship because I love to love what she does every day, and I also love to hate what she does every day. Um, Man, owning a burn boot camp, owning a fitness business, that's
Mhm.
pretty amazing. And,
Yeah.
I'm sure you got more people than me talking about the love-hate side of it, right?
Yeah, I always tell them about 20 minutes after the workout, you'll love us again. But then during that little bit of time, you need some time to digest it, right?
You do, but you know what? Also, I'd say 20 minutes after the workout, but I'd also say, over time, you start to see little changes, right?
Yeah,
And that makes it all worth it too, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's addicting.
How did you get into the workout business? So I don't even want to start there. I want to go way, way back and ask you, were you an athlete? Did you
Mhm.
always have an interest in fitness? Like, tell me a little bit about your fitness story as a
Yeah.
girl growing up.
I remember my mom with the weights. She woke up every day at 6 a.m. I remember watching her work out to all those little workout movie, those little DVDs and all that kind of stuff. The weights around her ankles. I remember her doing that. There's pictures of me with like weights in my hands and
Oh,
the
wow.
weights around my ankles trying to be her. And she was very always
I'm trying
health
to think of some of those
conscious.
things, like Tybo,
Yeah, but it was before that. It was more like, I don't want to say, is it
Richard Simmons.
Jane Fonda, like
Oh,
that kind of deal? Yeah, like
yes.
there was all these, abs, butts, and steel. I don't know, all these different things I remember her doing. But yeah, I'd say that's kind of where I got introduced to fitness, just because my mom did take care of herself. And then after that, I was an athlete. I was a gymnast my entire life. Went into cheerleading, but my big sport was actually golf.
Wow.
Yeah, so
See,
it,
that's a secret weapon. I didn't know
you
that
didn't.
you were a golfer. Ah.
Mhm. So when I went on a full ride golf scholarship to UCF, and then
Wow. Like
yeah,
you're like a serious golfer.
I
Yeah.
was okay in my day. I'd say I could hold my own. And then I technically went pro because I did promotions for Mizuno and Cleveland, just some like just side type stuff. And but I was so burnt out after school that I put the clubs away. It wasn't. I knew I didn't want to travel.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was
And that
not.
that's a pretty big commitment for if you're a
Mhm.
professional golfer, you're on the road like
Yeah.
how much of the year would you say?
I don't even know. Like that's why I didn't do it. Like I did more of the promotional side, and that's when I met my husband or got reintroduced with him. And yeah, it wasn't for me. But I would say I found fitness during that time as well because when you're a college, a collegiate athlete, you're up at 5 a.m. working out, and it's very intense. But it also gave me that love hate relationship that you now have with me.
I love you. I tease. It's no hate at all. I love
I I
and your business, we'll talk a little bit about that, but I tell you, the one thing that really hit me when I went to one of the socials that you all do periodically was
Mhm.
it's so much more than the workout, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think you get that, and I think it's pretty neat how you embed that even through the language that's communicated in the studio,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
feel like
tell
we need each other, I feel like this has been my calling in this world per se, but, like, we need each other specifically as women to
yeah,
help support each other. There's just so much negativity and the gossip and the this and that, and it's just part of our culture that, like, we're gonna pick you up. We're not gonna talk bad about you, right?
that's right.
Like, someone once told me, "You come for the workout, but you stay for the community," and I
Um,
just love that that is the reputation that has happened because that was always my ultimate goal, right? Like
mhm.
we all need that space that like, hey, I'm struggling with this or I need this. And you find that, you move to a new town and you don't know anybody. Like people come to Burn all the time because they want to meet people.
That's right on. Yeah, no, that's right on, and I think it's the push too. right?
Mhm. For
Because
sure.
sometimes pushing yourself to do something that seems impossible.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
happens a lot when those burn demonstrations for the workout for the day
Mhm.
happens. And we're all, I literally look around at me and everybody sort of like, do
Yeah.
that? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what's that gonna
You
look
want me to do okay, got
what?
it. Right,
But inevitably it happens, right? So
right.
tell me a little bit about becoming a business owner and why you decided to do that.
Yeah. So I have a journey. I mean, I like, we've talked about, but everyone does have that journey. So I started out, I owned my own boot camp. I always want to say burn, but boot camp in Naples for 6 years. It was called Beach Body with Holly. So,
Ah,
and so I did that. And then there was a gym that kind of was like a rival gym, not rival, but the same company that they would have like company calls. And one of the guys that was on the top over there, his name was Devin Klein. And he had his own boot camp at that gym, and I had mine. And we would always be battling it out for the top, number one spot. So he finally was like, I gotta know who this Holly girl is. So he comes over and starts like spying on me. And, we became friends, but it was like a friendly, just competition. Um, so we actually had some other mutual friends, and that's also how we, got connected. But his wife is amazing. So long story short, he and his wife ended up moving to Charlotte, and they started Burn Boot Camp in a parking lot.
wow.
And so he calls me one day and he's like, "Hey, Hall," he's like, "I'm going to start franchising these." And I'm like, "Okay." Like, it kind of felt like a little bit like, dude, I already got my thing going. Not that
Yes.
I don't need you,
Yes.
but you're up
But
there. I'm here.
good job. Good job for you.
Yeah. Like, I'm pumped for you. Um, so long story short, he had a couple that they were moving to Naples, and he's like, "You got to meet them. They're going to open a burn, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, honestly, Devin, like, I just want my own. Like, I don't really have interest going into business with someone that I may not know. He's like, "Just meet them." So Justin, I did. That's my husband.
Yes.
And we did. We hit it off. Like, everything was perfect. Everything was great. Still a little bit, it's scary going to, at that time, it wasn't a partnership. At that time, I was just going to go be the head trainer.
Yeah.
So, but there was conversations of what that future relationship would look like. So, I joined Burn in 2015 as the head trainer. And soon after that, I bought 49%.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was wild because I never thought I could be, it was scary to go on your own.
Yes.
Right? Like, that jump is so scary, and it feels like, are we going to make it? Like, I don't know. Like, this is, at the time we have a son now, but at the time we didn't, it was just my husband and and we're like, I don't know. Like, we have a good, solid business where I was at. Like, is this the right move? So
Been there,
anyways,
done that.
yeah, it's scary. You're just like, oh, but at the time it felt great. And there was some stuff that happened in our partner's relationship that caused friction between all of us.
Wow.
So unfortunately, at this time I was 5 months pregnant. I had owned, the 49% for probably 8 months, give or take. And
So this
I
is
got,
relatively new. I mean, you've pretty much,
yeah.
just kind of got going with the cadence of how you all even work together.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but it was like a year and a half. We were setting, records. We were bringing home
Wow.
all these. I mean, we were number one gym in the country. I mean,
Wow.
it was just insane. Like, everything was in a perfect world, wonderful. Just in terms of how our relationship worked. But unfortunately, things happen along the lines, and we just got caught. I mean, from my perspective, in a bad place. But yeah, I remember the day I came home and there was this file on the table, and Justin's like, "You're being sued." And I was like,
What?
"For what?" Yeah,
Right. Like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sure me and everybody's listening and we're thinking you've gone from owning your own business idea, starting this great new startup with this other couple, 49% ownership. Now you're
Mhm.
pregnant with baby. You and Justin are thinking about all the next great things, and you're being sued one day?
Right.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I will tell you, it's not that it came out of nowhere. We knew that there was definitely friction in the relationship, between we tried working things out, sitting down, talking, let's talk this through. But it was evident that they just wanted us out. They
Wow.
wanted us gone.
So what do you
So
do? What do you guys do at this point? You're 5 months pregnant. You've
yeah.
invested.
Yeah, and girl, I mean, I've never had a detention in my life. Like, literally, I am the person who goes, it says 45, I'm gonna go 47, like I'm just your rule follower, and my husband's not. But I am just that type A, like I, I'm like, I'm being sued? Like, what? You know?
This is why we get each other on such a level. I'm so type A, but maybe a little different. Collier County's finest don't listen. But if I know you get 10 miles grace, I'm probably going to eke a little bit more than two.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably go more than two, but I'm just a rule follower. That's just, and
It's
there's
type
times,
A. We got to get to where we're going. See,
yeah,
that's the other trait. Like, I got to get there. I got to be
yeah.
on time. I got to be
Yeah,
first.
I gotta be early, because if
Yeah.
you're not early, you're not on time. So, yeah, I remember sitting, I mean, actually just like hopped up on the counter and I was like looking at it and we're reading through it. And it was essentially, um, I wasn't like quote unquote doing my job. Like that's like essentially what everything was around. But again, it just felt so unfair. Like I was there, and at the time they were not. So just not to give too many details, but yeah, it just I've never been brought to my knees in such a place that you're just like, okay, so I mean, all financial, everything was cut off. We
Wow.
have attorney fees that are rolling in of thousands and thousands and thousands a month. And we're like, my husband's a firefighter. Like, how are we going to make this? Um, I mean, I remember being like, all right, well, when we have a baby, I'll just make all the baby food. Like, like what are the solutions we can do? I had a non-compete. I couldn't work.
Yeah.
Um, I was removed from the gym. So I was removed from
Wow.
everything. Yeah.
Probably, I mean, so here you are, a team player, I know you are, and
Hmm.
you're keeping a good face for the people as well. How,
Hmm.
such resilience, such tenacity, right?
Hmm.
Be able to go through this, know that you have your own family to manage, but then also know that you just by the very nature of who you are and the business
Hmm.
that you choose, you hold space for others.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It was a lot.
So I wanna just click on that because your story is no different than so many stories, so many
Right.
of us, right? We find ourselves in a place where we are going through a lot, right?
Hmm.
And for most of us, it's usually a time where we can't even share the
Hmm.
details of what's happening, but we're
You can't.
still moving through that existence, right?
Yeah.
How did you stay healthy yourself going through that particular season in your life? Because I just think that that's a point for others.
Yeah. So I just continue to move my body. I know that, for me, movement is medicine. And I knew that was so important. And again, I didn't feel like myself either. Like I was pregnant. I was sick the entire pregnancy. I had a horrible delivery. I mean, it just felt like, okay, God, like, can you like help me out?
Right,
Like
right.
something, I'm just trying to fight. Like you're just trying to find which way is up in that. And I know I told you this, but I've never openly talked about all of this
Yeah.
because it felt like um, it's
That's
just
such a
it's hard thing to talk about, right? But the different things that I did, I think mentally. So when I felt that I was getting in a bad headspace, I would listen to podcasts. I would listen to music. I didn't allow myself to be without something going through my body, my brain, just okay. I got to stay positive. If it's a sermon, whatever it is, I just stayed so dedicated to that. I felt that I was going through, I had never experienced anxiety before.
Mm,
I feel like I'm just, I naturally just, I feel like I'm very happy, right? And I
yes.
feel like I'm very positive, but that's the first time I experienced that. So
Mm.
I got to, now I have the tools to understand of how to help digest some of that with people when someone might be going through that, and or when I realize, oh, you got to stop. You're feeling really anxious about that. What does that mean, right? So for me, like anxiety means you're living in the future. Like
Mm.
you're living ahead of yourself, and you're not being patient with yourself in the spot or the time that you're at. And
Oh my
depression,
God, girl, you can't even blow past that because I think that there is something right there, right?
mhm,
When we start letting our minds take us to tomorrow and the next day, in
mhm,
not in a constructive planning way, but
correct.
in a scenario seeing way, we're doing too much.
Yep. Because you can't control the future. You can only control now, right? You can only control what can I do today to make tomorrow better? And what can I do to give myself the tools to make tomorrow better? But for me, I was living this place of what if I don't get the gym back? What if I don't have that income? What if I, how do we start over? How do we, all of those things. And what I learned was I can't live there.
No.
I can't live in that place, in that space of being so far ahead of in the what ifs. I
Yes.
had to be present,
Mhm.
right? And it's also when I learned, and I never feel like I got depressed, but I did always question. I would say like depression for me, what it meant was you're living in the past, right? You're not living in that present. So there was times I felt, what could I have done to change this situation?
Mm.
Not what can I do today to make tomorrow better? It was always, well, what could I, why did this happen? Or,
It's the
like I'm just,
blaming. It's the blaming that we
yeah.
do, right? Self
Mhm.
included, where that happened. I'm the victim. I know I am, right? But that
Right,
happens because I did something. What did
right,
I do? What
right,
did I do? What should I not have done? What should I
right,
think differently? And the growth, I think, of us as we mature is you didn't do anything. The
right,
situation just was what it was. And as
right.
a woman of faith, what I figured out now is I needed to go through that to
Mhm.
get the bumps and the bruises and the scars to emerge a better me, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and what you're saying, I mean, gosh, it really pulls those themes together very nicely because if you're sitting there stuck in it and only
Yeah.
thinking about it instead of thinking about how do I put one foot before the other and be
Yep.
productive to make progress.
Yep.
So
I
tell us what that looked like for you. How did you actually start to see progress? It obviously played out well in
did.
the very, very end,
Yeah.
but what was the pivotal moment that it
Yeah.
went from this day sucks every day to I see an opportunity, I see a window?
Well, there's 2 points I would say that were probably big turning points. I remember my husband, I mean, just you get back, you're in court, you're going to these hearings, and it was a year and a half long lawsuit essentially. And like I remember looking at him and just being like, babe, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. Like I'm a fighter, but I just can't. And he looked at me and he's like, Holly, makes me emotional thinking about it because it was intense. He's like, I will lose everything. If we have to lose our house, we lose our cars. If we lose everything, I will fight for what's right because you did nothing wrong.
Mm,
And I think knowing that I had that support system from him, like obviously
right on.
that's so amazing. Um, and I would say that's kind of when we
Shout
started
out to Justin. What? Shout
I
out to all
know,
the good husbands out there.
right?
Seriously?
I
Young
know
ladies,
because
don't sacrifice because this story, it can have a different shape, different characters, all of the
mhm,
things. If he is behaving like he is not going to play that role, no matter what
mhm,
the thing is, next.
right. Yes, you're interviewing at all times, right? But yeah, I remember that so clearly. And I mean, at that point, I believe we went and talked to our attorney, just being like, okay, we can't continue to pay all these bills and stay alive, right? Like, we're going to drown. I mean, it just at some point we were going to. And so we worked out like, okay, let's just like figure out what that payment plan looks like. I mean, I'm now, what, 4 years removed from this, and we just got done paying all of
Wow.
it. Yeah. So, I mean, it costs us, I mean, an insane amount of money. Would I do it again? Yeah, I would, because I want someone to hear my story and to know that you have to keep fighting,
Amen.
even when it seems impossible, because I didn't think that we had, I mean, we were the underdog from my, that's what I thought. I'm like, yeah, like I just didn't feel that we had the ability to, but we had a great attorney, and he also was like, yeah, you didn't do anything wrong. Like we're gonna win this.
Wow. Oh
So
my God. So yes, it's a blessing that you're sharing your story,
mhm,
because I think now more than ever, you have a lot of women, young women,
mhm,
people stepping
yeah,
out on their own, doing things, trying things,
yeah,
bumping their head, getting it wrong,
mhm,
getting it right. And
mhm,
I think when we only hear about the stories that were so super easy, it went from a
mhm,
great idea to a greater idea, right?
mhm,
It can be a little disheartening to people that are going through the real stuff, right? And the
yeah,
reality is we're all going through the real stuff. Um,
mhm,
it's quite frankly why, for me, Proven Not Perfect became a mission that I believe that, just like you said, right? I was put here to surrender to this mission and the storytelling that allows, my village of all stars, including you, women who are so successful in what they do, to tell their backstory, right? Because one, these are the women that are truly confident and courageous and bold, and there's no shame in it. There's no shame
right,
in the story, because we
yeah,
all got to the side where we know that this made us who we are, right?
right. Well,
I'm
and I know for myself, like if I would have looked back in the time of going out on my own, right? And being 100% and then going from head trainer to the 49%, like I know I'm a better boss, I'm a better leader, I'm a better friend based on what I went through. Um, and I think it's so important that like you said, your scars, like that's your scars, your story make us tough. And they gave me the experience to be able to be that better friend, that better boss, that better mom, that better wife, right? Like I don't think, I mean, this whole thing, this experience changed me. Like
Wow.
I was non-confrontational, and not that I like confrontation, but I think that confrontation brings opportunity.
Yes.
Um, and I think that that's, something that we have
And
to be
advocacy,
okay
right?
with. Yeah.
Advocating
Yeah.
for ourselves. That
Yes.
I think that's also part of that non-confrontational, where so many women we just don't. We
Right.
get on with the getting on.
Yep. We just sweep it underneath the rug, move on. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
So from this part in the story, let's see. So after Justin told me that, I remember getting down on my knees and pleading with God,
Yeah.
like pleading. At this time,
And they're doing
um,
that too.
I just remember being like, if this is not where I'm supposed to be, just make this easy to go away in some ways, like make us lose, let us walk away, and let's move on to our next opportunity. I mean, I'm in the background writing business plans for myself and like what my next options are, because I'm like, how am I gonna, okay, if I don't have this, what is it that I'm going to be able to do next?
Yes.
Because I'm not really great at sitting. I don't sit well. That's just not in my DNA. Like I just have to be doing something. I mean, I was knitting, I was doing all these random things, like, the cheapest things I could possibly do to keep myself busy. At this time I had, our son. So, I got the gym back on his first birthday. The
Wow.
judge signed the documents, and that was a really cool God moment when our attorney called us, and I'm like, it's Maverick's birthday. So, I mean, the ultimate looking back was who gets that first year with their son or their child, you know? Um, and I wish in that moment, those moments were easier to be able to enjoy them. Obviously, that was stressful. Like I wouldn't put this on my worst enemy, being in a lawsuit is not fun.
Mm.
Um, but it was worth it to fight at, obviously looking back now, it's worth it, but it wasn't easy. So,
Yes. Well, you know what? It's almost like what you and the team that you lead every day tell
mhm,
myself and a whole bunch of other folks, right? It's not
mhm,
easy, right? But
yeah,
it's worth it. And
mhm,
I think that's why I was so drawn to your story and
mhm,
wanted to really just talk to you and dig deep because I see you for sure as a fitness invested owner. I
mhm,
see you as a woman-owned business, very successful. I see your entrepreneurship, but I also see your mission. And I
mhm,
feel like your mission is one of empowerment
yeah.
um, for women.
Mhm.
And, I just wondered if you actually see it as a mission that way. And if so, just tell us about it a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely see, it's like when you learn about your business when people tell you things of how they feel when they're inside your four walls. And
Yep.
it's interesting to be like, wow, this is happening.
Yeah.
I had wrote I'm just like, I guess I'm a little dorky on this side, but I had wrote in a book, like a goals book, like it was like basically like, what are your next five? Like it was like in college or something. And it was literally to own a female only boot camp, it like a franchise. I sent it to the CEO and he was like, you were like, I'm like, look at the date. It was just wild how you can write something down and just truly put it out there and be like, this will never happen, but I'm going to do it anyways, right? I'm just going to put it in the universe.
Yes.
But in that, I wrote empowering women, like giving women a space to feel very comfortable. And I think where that always came from was I worked in a lot of gyms, and you could just tell the women would always be in like the back corner, like not sure what their space was in the gym. Um, and there was just such an opportunity for that. But obviously, like you spoke about earlier, just when the trainers are showing an exercise and you're like, there's no way I can do that. Like my goal for anyone walking in there is to show them that they can and to help them create confidence that will then bleed into their life
Yeah.
because they can do whatever they choose to do, but they have to put their mind to it and know that they can do it.
I love that the track is really one that kind of talks, it's a strength track, but it's also an agility track, right?
Mhm,
Because a lot of times, I've done boot camps in other states or whatever, and everybody sort of has their vision for what that looks like.
mhm,
And I find that yours is so unique in that you really don't over index on a style. You keep it mixed up, first of all.
mhm,
So every day is a different
yeah.
day. But I know it's a formula that you know about. I don't need to know about. I just
Yep.
know it works, right? But the things that immediately come out to me are strength and agility, and I feel that that gets back to the notion of empowering women
Yeah.
and
Mhm,
empowering ourselves, right?
right.
At the very end of the day, this life, it's not perfect. It won't be.
Mhm,
We'll go through things, but do we have the strength to kind of bear in it? And do we have the agility, quite frankly, to be able to discern and call out when something just is not serving us and we've got to get out of it, right?
yeah.
And I think that takes some confidence too. And I would imagine that more women than that come through your door have found themselves making a pivot and a switch because they gain the confidence to know that, yeah, sometimes you can say this doesn't serve me.
Right.
It might have saved lives, girl. I just, in my heart,
Yeah.
I don't know. I really feel like, I'm really being impressed right now in my spirit
Mhm.
that you just don't even know the minds that you're changing and the lives that you're saving. Mhm.
It's pretty amazing. Like I will tell you, there's some people will share their full story, and they'll say like, my husband and I were on the edge of getting divorced. Like we were not gonna make it, but like I needed to work on myself, right? Or I hear those stories, or I hear the other side of I didn't have the confidence or the tribe to support me to leave a relationship that I shouldn't have been in.
Yep.
And, so I've heard so many of those, just everything from like a mom being able to now show their kids of living this healthy lifestyle. So I agree with you. And I feel like I'm so blessed to be here, but I honestly, I couldn't do it without my staff. I know that that's, yes, you have
Oh,
to lead
they're brilliant.
but they
Every
are
one of them.
freaking awesome. They're just
Okay,
so
so
great.
how did you find this, in all seriousness, getting good
Mhm.
talent anywhere in
Yep.
the world, but for sure America right now is like not the easiest thing. And you've had staff that have been loyal and
Mhm.
committed.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, they all show up like they're you. It,
Yeah, they're just rock stars.
if someone says, literally, if I walked in and I did not know who the owner was, I promise you that there would be nothing that clued me to it was you over any of your trainers.
Yeah.
Picking that up.
I mean, it takes time to build a team and build staff, and we've now been open for 8 years. So I think that there's been transitions throughout that. My biggest core value that they all know, and I do my absolute best to show every day, is when you put people first, you
Yes.
will always win. And they know that they are my people. Like, tomorrow we're going to see a movie all together with their kids. Like, we do stuff together. We're a team. We're a family. We have each other's backs. But also we have a really, really strong feedback culture. I will say that is an amazing part of just Burn in general and the franchise is when there's issues, we're going to get feedback right away. We're not going to sit on it, and making sure that that is part of that culture every day. And that, so those two things I think have been a good formula for where we're at. But I would say it's just ultimately like loving on your people and hiring people you do care for.
Hmm. So what do you think is next when we think about fitness? Because, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm thinking about you,
Mhm.
me, corporate strategy, businessy lady here. 2020 could
Mhm.
have changed the game and upended everything about how we chose to work out. And for a second, I think a lot of people, pundits were sort of assuming that, oh yeah, the Pelotons or the this one or the that one, I'm picking on just the one that came to mind. They're going to shift this thing and no one's ever going to join anything that looks remotely like a gym ever again, right? And actually, it feels like it's been quite the opposite.
Mhm.
Because
Yep.
if people are like me, the last thing I want to do is stay in my house and do
Mhm.
everything.
Yep. Yep.
I
In
want
here.
community.
Yep.
And
Yep.
man, so what do you think is the future of fitness and
Yeah.
lifestyle healthcare?
I mean, you hit it on the head, right? Like, we need connection. Humans need connection. We need each other. And I mean, I did buy a Peloton at that time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I didn't ride it. I needed someone to push me. I needed my trainer to tell me, girl, you're not working hard enough and you can work harder. Like, what you doing? Right.
Yep.
Um, so
Even though Allie Love, she tries,
oh
right?
yeah, homegirl's awesome.
Andre and
He's the
Alex,
bomb.
what's it, Alex Toussaint? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Robin, they come
Yeah,
through, but
they're the bomb.
they're the
Yep.
bomb. They're the bomb.
They
But
are. I
sometimes
think it's a
they're
great,
telling me go, and I'm like, no, not really.
but if you don't go, no one's even, it doesn't matter. I think, I mean, just with Burn in general, and I'm not sure if I can see outside that box, just, I don't know. It's harder for me to see outside of it just because I bleed blue and I love this brand and I believe that I will be with this brand for a very, very long time. I mean, us personally, we plan to open a second location in Naples. We just
Hey,
have not found real estate yet, but that is in our plans.
putting it
And
out there, it's gonna happen. Who knows who can listen
right,
to this? Well, the thing
that's
that I love about this medium is that we don't really know who is
yeah,
triggered, engaged by whatever. And
right.
man, you know what? I
Yeah,
said
who
God's
knows?
plan. God's plan. That's all I'm gonna say.
God's plan. That's right.
Mhm.
But Burn has an app coming out this year in October. I'm very excited about that. I think
Oh
it's going to
wow.
be a game changer for all of our members in itself too.
Tell us about
So there,
that. This is hot off the press.
yeah, this is super hot off the press. So, like all of our different, you have a lot of apps, right? That all connect you, how you check into your boot camp, how you log your food. This is going to centralize everything. But also eventually, I believe our trainers will have a platform to do some different, if they wanted to teach foam rolling, they could do that on the app. So I know that's like in 2.0 of the Burn app, but right now you'll be able to, you go on vacation, you just want to log on your app and do a workout right there. You'll be able to do it right there on Burn Boot Camp on demand. So it's kind of like combining Burn, in that Peloton, that that, but you still have your community when you come back home. So that's kind of the future right now where we're at, that, the franchise has been working on for the last 2 years.
So smart. I mean, it's going the other direction, right? Because once you're
Yeah.
sort of in, the metaverse, if you will,
Mhm.
online, getting space is not always the easiest thing to do. But
Right.
it's nice to do both as well. I love that.
Yeah.
But the
So I
connection
think it'll be good.
matters.
Yeah, I
Connection.
think it'll be good. I'm
All
excited.
right.
So yeah,
So
that's where we're at.
what else can we expect when we hear about the things that are top of mind for you and what you might be up to in the future? Okay, so I know another facility, maybe anything else. I don't know. It just feels right to just poke, just to see.
No, I mean, right now it's about creating that balance. We have our little guys going into kindergarten this year.
Yay.
So, and like I said, I have a husband who's gone, so he's 24 on, 48 off. So it's just creating that balance. I feel like we've just been this fight or flight for a long time. I've been on the board for the franchise last 4 years, for Burn. So, I've now, you have to roll off at a certain point in time. So this was my last year. So I'm regaining some time from that. But maybe I'll do something else with, I don't know. So
Who
that's
knows?
some stuff in the works. Yeah, I always feel a very strong pull to help other owners and to mentor and to do whatever I possibly can to get back specifically to Burn, just because they're just my people.
You give
So
back to so many. You give back to the community too. I mean, that's another thing that we didn't really touch on here, but I will say that never have I joined a workout community that has had so many initiatives of give uh,
Mhm.
in such a short period of time, right? And I
Yeah.
honestly believe that when you give, you do get. Um,
Mhm.
and that's just truth. I believe it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the hurricane, I will say, was such a pivotal moment that, one business can help so much.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't always notice, like you think, well, we're trying, and you may not think it was something big, but like if everybody just did that little, we all add up. And we try to do something for back to school for the teachers, and different schools that maybe need those supplies that don't have it. And I will say my girl, Dr. Stephanie, she's always like, all right, what we doing next? She's my streamline for making sure that I am staying involved. And I'm so thankful that I have an accountability partner like her. So, but yeah, it's awesome to help.
Well, I could keep talking to you for so very long. First, I want to thank you for being so willing to share openly with us
Yeah.
um, about the tough stuff that you've endured through, persevered through. It's certainly you're just the light, right? Your light is bright, and I think your willingness and desire, quite frankly, to share your backstory is a blessing. And I'm super excited for all the souls that are gonna rejoice because they now have something to hang on to themselves. Yeah,
I
keep
just want to say like one more thing. I mean, I feel like that the whole story, right? Like it felt like we were like top location, top gym. And then it felt like we went down to the bottom, and not that that's what really matters, but it's about how many people you are affecting, right? So like for me, that's why I do what I do. But when we got the gym back, we had under 300 members. We've to this date, we've doubled that. We're back
yes.
to, top one or two in the nation. So I guess I just hope that my story does push someone to continue to push through, because you can you can make it out of the storm. and just keep fighting even when it feels impossible. So whoever needs to hear that out there, you got this.
Amen. Amen. And I literally mean, she shared with me just yesterday that she wanted to share her story. And yeah, so thank you.
Yeah,
Really.
you're so welcome.
All right. Love you, lady.
Have a good day.